to make is to present some fun I have with the Samarkanda quad delay from XAOC device, here using some drum sounds. So to go quickly over the patch here, and then I might go into detail more and also have fun with it and move things a bit later. Here you have the Belgrade making all the sounds. So if I put it out, purge it, you have nothing anymore. So here everything comes from Belgrade, goes through an Optomix, and then inside some of the Samarkanda delay here, which is then synced, time is moving, and comes out to the main output. This other channel of Samarkanda I use to mess with the trigger sequence, because the idea is to also create a trigger sequence that's more interesting than having every other beat or whatever. So if I put everything fully dry now, here you have only the sound of the drum generated through by the trigger sequence here, by the Belgrade, and then so here you have a very boring drum sequence. So once again, here it's only the trigger. The patch I have, which I won't detail in this video, have some melody driving the drum, for some LFO driving the drum melody. The LFO, you don't see it, it's bearing a neutron down there. You can see here the rhythm of the LFO on the MIA. And so this is driving the melody, but of course it only takes a value where there's a trigger. So here is the sequence when there's only the basic sequence of triggers coming, and when I add some delay and I put it a bit wet, we have the basic sequence plus the delayed triggers that are generated. The rhythm comes from the fact that the Samarkanda channel here is synced to some clock value, and the time is being moved based on an SNH here and the modulation source, which is the same LFO as for the drum. And then I had a second layer of post-processing. So here I want to also add that here it was to have a sound that is easily identifiable as a drum, but if I use the same kind of patch but in the Samarkanda itself, with the input is noise, here is drum melody plus attack, here is the output. So here the drum sound is also generated by the Samarkanda in analog mode, fully wet, full feedback, to have something of course a bit more interesting. You could also use it without the noise source. Should be more Carplus-Strong-like, because it's then the trigger sequence here that's gonna be in there. Okay, so now let's try to find something a bit more tasty, and also to show how long or not it can be to find this kind of balance point with everything going well together. So I can move the LFO to change the melody. Here it is. try some very different value, as you see here. So first, the idea would be to get a trigger sequence that's interesting. So once again, the main clock is PAM, then divided and syncing different channels, and also triggering the modulations through the SNH here. Of course, here we have a lot of triggers, so it might not be so interesting. I can get a bit more amplitude on the modulation too. Okay, nice. Now let's see what we get here. Okay, the reverse is a bit boring. Always in the same timing. Slow down the clock a bit too. Let me purge this. Boring, but nice. Let's try to have a bit more actions here. Let's try again. You can also switch it to analog. If you have something more glitchy, that's nice, but still a bit out of tempo and out of sync, so not as easily usable. Okay, that's all for today.